The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the inexplicable mashup that is Diamond Dallas Page and Sheriff Brody from Jaws. That is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him. Right? Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, you're
I know
absolutely
I'm right.
right. Yeah.
Right? That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
by the way, his name's Duke, apparently.
Duke, yes. Yeah, so we're talking about Sharkenstein. And I think last week I said that I thought this was a full moon. I think Full Moon might have it on their streaming site, but it's actually from Wild Eye.
Right.
Which, Wild Eye is they're a company that I feel a lot of ambivalence towards.
Yeah?
I mean, they're kind of like Asylum, they make trash. They're fine with making trash. They wouldn't deny it. But it's a weird mix. Like, I think they just kind of find director, and sometimes it's people like this. I mean, this is a bad movie, but it's like a fun movie. Some of the stuff they've done it feels like cash grab stuff to me. Like, it's just bad. It doesn't feel like it was done by people who were having a good time. It just feels like, hey, we can crank this out and put it on Tubi or whatever. And
to be fair, it looks like they pretty much firmly hitched their trailer to the shark truck, as it were.
Yeah, they've done a lot of shark things. I think probably the thing that they're most beloved for in like recent years is they did Velocipaster, which is like super fun. It's just really, really stupid, but like kind of on purpose stupid, which I would say this is as well. Some of their, like, they're very hit or miss though. Like, there's some, like, Full Moon, you're always going to have a good time. It's going to be trashy or whatever. This
100%.
Wild Eye is less so. You just never know what you're going to get with them. It's more, look at who's making, like, the director versus, like, this production company. And this director, I didn't know much about him, and I did some research on him.
Mark Polonia of the Polonia Brothers.
Yeah. So like they used to make movies together. His brother died. He kind of continued on, but they've made a couple things that got like wider attention. Like Feeders was like a big blockbuster rental movie, but now he does a lot of the Amityville, sort of knockoff movies.
Yeah.
And
Amityville in space.
Yep, that's him. Yeah. And he does quite a few shark movies, including Shark Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah. And Sharkula.
Listen, I'm kind of partial to Cocaine Werewolf, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So this guy, you know what you're getting with him. Like it's not going to be high budget, it's not going to be great, but you're probably going to have a good time with your friends, That's what he's trying for. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, one thing I'll say about this movie is everyone understood the assignment because there's no acting per se in this movie. I mean, not like serious acting.
Right, yeah. We got a small cast. They're all just kind of... Yeah, you can tell, like, the three friends, they're just people being themselves. Like, there's no way they're, like, trying a thing here. Like, this is just what those people are like, for the most part.
Like, these guys have got to be either, like, friends of the writers or... Yeah, really close, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What names, by the way? Greta Volkova as Madge, Ken Van Sant as Duke, and Titus Himmelberger. What are these names?
Yeah, you're not going to recognize any of these names for sure. These are all Yeah, but
They're wild.
yeah.
All right, so let's talk about throughout the ages, a legend has survived the span of time. Written in Willy Wonka font, by the way.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got like lightning striking in black and white in the background. You see like a
Heavy
Frankenstein
breathing.
monster like stomping through the forest. Yeah.
So
like,
is this an actor or a doll? Like, or action figure, quote unquote?
yeah, it doesn't look like a person at all. I don't,
Right. Okay.
But yeah, which I did think this was kind of a fun sort of like, you know, this idea that the Frankenstein monster keeps being reborn. We've seen it over and over again in the Universal movies or whatever. And they're sort of like saying all of these movies you've seen, it's all the same monster. It just keeps getting reincarnated. But no one
Right.
could have predicted the most bizarre experiment yet.
Right.
And that takes us to...
His heart and brain are indestructible.
Yeah. So we go to like Germany, 1942, and we see a submarine.
Can we talk about this fucking submarine? The shittiest of CGI that I've ever seen, with like weird bubble effects.
Yeah, like this looks like somebody made it in like not even After Effects. This is like, it's kind of
Can
like
they make this kind of stuff in MS Paint?
Yeah, it's kind of like Birdemic level where it's like they've got a shot of water and then there's like somebody, you know, like a clip art of a submarine that someone's just like dragging across the
Right.
screen, basically.
Oh
With,
boy,
like, as you
I can't wait till we get to the shack.
What the
That
fuck
was
was
the
up with that
worst.
shack?
What
it's
the
so
fuck?
weird.
Like I could have done a better Photoshop job. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Yeah, like the shark being what it is makes
Yeah, it's
sense.
fine.
Low budget, silly, whatever. That shack, like you could go out and take a picture of a shack somewhere way easier. And like you said, if you couldn't for some reason, you could do a much better job in no time at all.
Right. It's literally just a flat picture of a shack on top of like someone's dock.
Yeah,
You know, of their
and
lake
it's like
house.
the shack is even like it looks like it's like pieces. Like somebody like got a magazine and cut
Yeah,
out like
cut it
a
into
barn
pieces.
door and and just kind of like glued it down to, you know, to this still of like, you know, yeah, like you said, a dock or something. It's
Yeah.
so bizarre. Like
There were choices, is what we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let's get back to this awful CGI. Well, honestly, like in the beginning, I thought it was all going to be CGI, right? Because we have CGI heart and brains, you know. And I'm like, okay, fine. This is going to be weird. It's going to be quirky. Great. No, in come the actors, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yes. Yeah. So the first thing we see is like the heart and brain that are in the sub. Like we see, there's like a lab set up in the submarine. The heart and brain, there's like electrical stuff plugged into them to keep them alive. It's straight up just AV cables. Like it is.
Right.
It's the
100%.
cables in the back of your VCR, like that. Those kind of cables.
They didn't even get gator clips. Come on, guys.
Right, yeah. And the scientists working on them get interrupted by Nazi soldiers who burst in. They want access to, these experiments. Or this is not in the submarine. The submarine rose out of the water to the Nazis came out and attacked this lab.
Right.
And
the main Nazi just keeps saying, "You will, you will."
yeah. Basically, the Fuhrer wants the regenerative powers of the Frankenstein monster. The scientists are refusing, so they get killed, and the Nazis steal the brain and heart.
That's the quickest way to get it, right? Kill the two guys who helped come up with the thing.
Right.
Surely they didn't pass anything. Yeah.
And then we see...
But of course, we also have the Frankenstein monster there. And they're like, no, that's the waste. That's just garbage. We need the heart and the brain, not the whole thing.
Yeah, that's all. That's all we need. And we see the...
And then they get back in that fucking shot and just... it's
just
reverse of the same shot.
Exactly, yes.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, and then we see, like, I guess the submarine travels to America, to, like, Washington, D.C., it looks like.
Yep, that's what it looked like. I don't know why, but sure,
Yeah.
maybe... Well, I guess they have somebody working on the inside. But we also get shots of water planes from the 80s and 90s landing.
Yeah, and that... So, this is, like, B-roll footage, but... Basically, the
did
submarine
you think we were going to be done with the shot at the sub? Because we're going to get it one more time.
Yes. And so, of course, the Nazis in the sub are handing off, the brain and heart to the people on the hydroplane. And that's so this is our sort of establishing thing that the Nazis got their hands on the brain and the heart, and then we go to the opening credits, and now we're in modern times.
Right. As a matter of fact, we're in Catsman Cove. I'm a Catsman. There you go. I had to.
And yeah, Catsman Cove is like a knockoff of like Amity from or Amity Island from Jaws. Like it's a New England style sort of boating beach community, and we get our introduction to the main hero of the movie, security guard Duke Larson. He's not a cop. He's like a harbor patrol, right? Is that what his like official? Yeah. But. Yeah, so he's kind of like walking along the docks, looking at, making sure everything's as it should be, talking over walkie-talkie to Harbor Command.
We get exposition about boaters missing.
Yeah.
3 jackets being found.
Several boaters have gone missing. The bodies haven't been found, but life vests were found floating around. So, like, something weird happened to these people, and Duke is going to get to the bottom of it.
Oh, I was wrong earlier, by the way. There is one person who's acting their ass off, and that's the dispatch lady. Because she literally, like, at this moment, he's, like, talking to her, and he's like, yeah, I need to get on that. And she's like, great deduction, Captain Obvious. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good. And, of course, the classic thing here is that, like, tourist season's coming, so we got to solve this, or, Jaws repeat, basically.
Not even an evil mayor in charge to keep it going.
Yeah. And then we get our first shot of the shark monster in this, the Sharkenstein, which is like a foam puppet of a shark, basically.
100%.
And like it looks silly, but like they did make some effort to like make it a Frankenstein. Like there's stitches on the fin, and like it is a it's a unique character design. But
it's the cutest fucking Frankenstein shark I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and it's all just like the submarine. It's just like superimposed over footage. Like it looks like they basically shot the film without the shark, then projected the film and had a person with their hand in the shark puppet in front of the footage. Like it is in no way interacting with what's happening in the rest of the frame.
Nope.
It's absolutely silly, but like it feels. I feel like they could have done like the submarine was sort of like photoshopped in. It doesn't look great, but it looks like they're trying to make you think it's there. I think they're like, hey, we know the shark's not real. We all know the shark's not real.
Yeah, it looks goofy. Let's go with it.
Yeah, let's just have fun with it. So I appreciate that. I much rather would have silly practical effects than bad CGI.
Right, as we lamented on earlier about that fucking shack that drives me crazy. Like, I think looking at it has an effect like staring into Cthulhu's maw.
Yeah.
Like, it just drives you insane.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I know. All right, so let's... did you know this actually had a guest director, Anthony?
No.
Apparently it was Quentin Tarantino, because we're staring at a lot of ladies' feet walking along the beach.
Yeah, so we see the shark, we see the lab, we don't see anybody in it, it's just like an empty lab. We see the heart and brain, tools scattered about, so like, this has gone on to modern times. We know the Nazis stole it back in Hitler's day, but somebody is still working on this same stuff.
Nazis in the 21st century? Get out of here. I don't buy it.
Right. And then we get our first shark attack. We see
it's so good.
We see this woman just walking along the beach, and all of a sudden the shark just like jumps up into frame, and suddenly the girl is gone. And
she's a blood puddle.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks so cheap. Like there's no way around that. Like they're not trying here. They're just having fun, and Sure. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what you got. In this movie, you could tell everyone's loving it. Whatever they're doing, they're just having a ball.
Yeah. But, of course, a shark movie's got to start out with, like, an early shark attack to kind of set the stage.
Right.
And right from there, we are introduced to our sort of, like, 3 idiot protagonists or...
Right. Who are wildly disparate in age. Yes. Like, I feel like Skip is about 50. Then you've got Coop, who's sitting at a nice solid 38, 39, about our age. And then you have Madge, who I'm thinking she's on the verge of 30, if not a little bit younger.
Yeah. And, like, at first I was like, oh, so what's their configuration? So they're all just friends. There's, we have them, like, they're, like, driving along. Both Coop and, Skip, they're both, Skip, like, one's wearing his hat sideways, one's wearing it backward.
I think it's because they didn't want to get the all right, so clearly it's the Hyrule symbol from Zelda. And I have a feeling they were like, we don't want to pay Nintendo. We don't have pay Nintendo money.
Yeah. But we'll find out, like, they're just they're all friends. They're even kind of, like, joking with Madge about how, like, we would never date you. Like, you're just... Right. She's got a boyfriend that they think's a weirdo or whatever, but obviously he's not there. And, they're...
How did they meet, though, is my question, because they don't seem to like each other all that much.
Yeah, they're always kind of, especially, like, Madge is always, like, nagging the 2 idiot guys, and the guys are like, oh, Madge, she's, such a nag or whatever. And,
right, she's not that hot because she's wearing glasses.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And, like, when we're first introduced to them, I guess, like, Coop is playing on his cell phone in the back seat, and Madge is like, we're supposed to be enjoying the scenery. You shouldn't be playing on your phone.
Live in the moment.
Yeah. And he's like, and she's like, come on, Skip, back me up. And he's like, well, I want him to check the weather. We're going to be on a boat. And she's like, she's just trying, like, you can tell she's like the group mom. She's trying to make sure the trip's going to go well. Everybody's going to have a good time. And, they're just like, oh, Madge.
But that's when Coop discovers, there's a lot of people dying at Catsman Cove.
Yeah, there's several missing people. And they're like, I don't know, should we go through with it? Maybe we can get our deposit back. And Skip's like, it'll be fine. It's urban legends. We're on a news site. These are actual missing people. He's like, we shouldn't let it ruin our good time. It'll be fine.
Right, yeah, let's have a good time despite all the murders. Right. That's never gone bad for anybody.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this fisherman guy. He's living in the moment. He's not worried about any stupid murders. Gee, I wonder who's going to die next, right?
Yeah, like, they point him out, they drive past, and, like, literally as soon as they're, like, out of frame, the shark pops out and just chomps the guy, leaving 2 shoes with bloody foot stumps sticking out on the dock. That
was one of the funniest fucking scenes in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Then we get another shot of Duke driving a boat.
Yeah. And he pulls into, like, a dock, and he's talking to a guy about that they found a bunch of bits of sharks. Yeah, and they're like, what is this from? Like, and, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a bigger shark out there that's eating other sharks, and this is just bits that he didn't eat or whatever.
Sharks eating sharks? What madness, other than the times they do it in the womb. Right?
Right. And the guy he's talking to, which I don't know if he's ever named or we see much of him beyond this, but he's like, I don't know, there's like great white shark bits in here, and there's no predator above them. Nothing would eat a great white shark.
Right, nothing could, right?
Yeah. So something weird's going on here, and then Duke says, yeah, that's awfully weird. The only thing missing in this story is a mad scientist.
Mad scientist. And immediately, CGI dockhouse.
Yes.
Ugh.
And
that thing.
Yeah, like, if you don't want to watch this movie, you should just try to find an image of this dockhouse. I'll post something on Twitter or something.
Please.
It is it's indescribable how bad it looks. It's wild.
Yeah. Like, it makes no sense. No parts of it make any sense.
Yeah. It's like non-Euclidean, like MC Escher beach house.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you ought to put some, like, Cthulhu Fhtagn shit in here every time we talk about the stupid doghouse or dockhouse.
And yeah, we see it a lot because it's the establishing shot. The lab is inside this, so we go straight from it to the lab with the mad scientist that that Duke does not know is actually a thing.
Right. He tells the shark to return. What he adds "v" in front of everything. Like, I get that that's a German thing supposedly, but not really.
Yeah, only the W's, but he's just doing it across the board. But yeah, he's calling the shark back, and he's like caressing the jars that have the brain and heart in them, and it's like, soon my work will culminate in indestructible warriors and we'll finally conquer humankind. We're gonna bring the Fourth Reich into fruition and take over.
I have a good feeling that good fortune will soon be coming our way.
You're right.
When he's not letting his accent slip.
Yeah. And then we just cut to our trio of goofballs who have arrived at the dock. They're unloading their stuff, and they get onto like a little kind of small motor fishing boat kind of deal. And part of the
I could swear that they're playing Hootie and the Blowfish. Like, it's got to be one of their songs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's off-brand Hootie.
Right, yeah. Public domain, I'm sure.
It's Booty and the Hofish. Sorry.
So part of their like boat rental is that they have like a captain, a driver on the boat. And
Hoskins, the best actual character.
It's great because he's a mute, so everything he does is like with his hands and his facial expressions, and he actually kind of acts like he does. They always say it's like harder to act silently because you have to really be more expressive, and he actually pulls it off better than the people who are talking.
Right. I could have only wondered what his speaking lines would have been like.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe they were that good. They're like, dude, you just gotta shut up. You're making us all look bad.
Yeah, so they ride out into the cove. They're all just kind of relaxing while he's driving around. And, Madge is like looking out, and she's like, if you really look down into this water, it's just pitch black. I wonder if there's something out there.
She's like contemplating the depths and darkness, right?
Yeah. And
don't stare into that void. It stares back.
Right. And of course, her friends are kind of mocking her, and she's like, well, what do you think, Hoskins? Tell me, you know this area. And Hoskins is like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Basically, like shaking his head really emphatically.
Right. Also, can you tell me something? Why the hell would 3 grown adults go on a boat trip that's piloted by someone else when no alcohol is involved whatsoever?
Right. Yeah.
Like, am I that much of a lush or something that I don't understand it? Like, I like boats. But it's nice when there's beer on the boats.
Yeah, that's kind of just part of it, is you just kind of relax and have a few beers or drinks of some kind. I mean, yeah, and we go straight from this conversation about what's in the water to this long montage of them having fun on the boat. But it is just, they're all just kind of like laying around. They're not really doing anything. They're not, I think they swim a little bit, but they're not fishing. They're not, doing like, jet skis or being pulled by on like a little inner tube. They're not doing any of the boat activities that you would think of.
Right. Dear God, they should have waxed Coop. He looks like a bear. Like,
yeah. And
don't show me a guy with treasure trails. Anyway.
And so this whole montage, it goes on. They're clearly padding the run time here. It goes on way too long.
Yeah.
And between every single shot, the like transition wipe is like this wobbly like waves kind of effect that's just so bad.
Well, it's so bad they even like stop for lunch. They literally show the characters eating lunch, like the whole lunch.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And eventually Duke pulls up next to them in his boat, and he's like, all right, folks, you got to head back to the dock. There's some stuff going on for your safety. And they're like, what's happening? And he's like, it's confidential.
It's confidential.
Yeah, just get back to the docks. And they're like,
I feel like you should probably say, there's just some dangerous stuff going on out here. And leave it at that.
Yeah. But they're like, well, can we like finish our food? And he's like, yeah, but you need to like be quick about it. You need to be headed back to the dock very soon.
ASAP.
So he leaves them to it. And then we go back to our Nazi scientist,
who's chumming his shark.
Yeah.
Like throwing bits into the shark's tank.
Yep. And he's like, all right, I've got one final test before the the final transplant, and he wants to test the transmitter range. So he sends the shark
on a
out.
5K test run.
Yeah, and he says, "Soon the world won't have a leg to stand on." Cut right to those bloody stumps sticking out of shoes on the dock. As another fisherman is showing him to Duke, like, "Hey, we just found this," and he's like, "This has to be a shark," and Duke's like, "I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions here. I see that these
right. You know what happened in Jaws, right? They kill afterwards. All the people started killing sharks. Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, but these are like bloody stumps that have clearly been bitten off." And he's like, it is hard to deny, but let's send a bunch of scuba divers out to investigate. We'll
right. Fucking sending out bait.
Yeah. And sure enough, then we get like a long montage of a bunch of scuba divers swimming around, slowly being picked off one by one by the shark.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you this right now. There is no way that this footage of the divers did not come from some sea tour. Okay?
Yes.
I don't believe it. This was not made for this movie. It did not have that budget. There's no way. When we do see the divers die, it's literally just clouds of blood or, just smoke that is colored blood in After Effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely being added after the fact here.
Oh, yeah. And you don't even see the actors obviously react because it's from something totally different.
Absolutely, yeah.
So ridiculous.
And then we go back to the scientist who's really happy with the results. And he's like, all right, we're going to go a little bit further. Go 10 kilometers north and kill, my friend.
Yes.
And then we get, again, a shot that goes on way too long of a girl just walking along the beach.
By the way, we're going to repeat that shot for whatever reason. Like she's going to go into the water, then come back. Like apparently she came back out and does the same walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just reused footage. We know what it is.
Yeah, still. And she's in a bikini. It's she's just on the beach, but like it's not like a gratuitous like, hey, look at this sexy girl. It's just here's a person walking. And eventually, the shark does leap out of the water.
She like sits down in this like what are they called? The reclining beach chairs.
Oh, like a chase kind of chair.
Yeah. And it gets her from behind because she's pointed her back to the waves. Who does that?
Yeah, why go to the beach and not look at the ocean? That's like the whole point. Or the
Boy, I sure do want to look at this green stuff that I look at every day.
Yeah. So the scientist is really impressed. He went 10 kilometers, still was able to follow instructions. So he's like, okay, come back to base, but kill anything.
But kill everything on the way.
Yeah. And then we go back to our trio, and something bumps the boat. And they're like, oh, maybe this is the thing that the harbor master guy was telling us about. We should head back.
Right. And, of course, Hoskins tries to get it going, but it's like, oh, the engine won't turn over. Yeah.
So he has to do charades to explain that the propeller's broken. And they're like, can you fix it? And he's like, maybe, I don't know, I'll try. So they're like, okay, well, we're just going to chill here and do nothing while you try to do all the work.
Oh, no, they're like, let's go swimming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they decide, they're like, well, since you're going to be busy, we're just going to, there's an island over here, we're going to just swim over to the island.
Right.
And he's like, no, don't do that. And they're like, it'll be fine, just come pick us up at the island.
Right, despite the other guy saying, get the fuck out of here as soon as you can.
Yeah. And so as they start swimming back, or swimming to the island, Madge keeps getting freaked out. She feels like something's brushing her leg, and they're like, it's probably nothing.
But we know it's the shark.
Yeah.
It just somehow missed her foot.
Yeah, somehow they actually do manage to make it, all three of them, safely to the little island.
Okay, now I have a problem, though.
Is it
because they made it there. It's a clothes bag! The fucking dried clothes bag, yes!
Yeah, so we just cut to them in dry clothes now, walking around the island, and one of the guys is carrying like a duffel bag, but it is certainly not a completely waterproof bag would have all their clothes perfectly dry.
Right.
But yeah,
no consistency, these guys.
I think they just didn't want to walk around wet, so they're like, okay, that's fine.
Respect, yeah. 100%. It was probably cold as shit.
Right, yeah. So then we go back to Hoskins, who is working on the engine, and we see the shark like jumping out of the water, trying to attack Hoskins. Somehow
it misses.
Yeah, it misses. He kind of fights it off, and it just gives up. And he's like, "Whoa, that was close."
Right. Instead of immediately freaking the fuck out and trying to get out of there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
He's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, just like, okay, I guess I got to get back to work on the engine some more.
Right.
And then back on the island,
we find the no trespassing sign that looks like it's 60 years old, despite being brand fucking new.
Yeah. And of course, Madge is like,
grime it up, guys. It's not that hard. Throw some mud at it.
Right.
It's free.
Yeah, and so Madge is like, okay, we got to stop, no trespassing, and they're like, come on, Madge, let's just keep going. And she's like, all right, fine.
Knowing full well they're in the United States of America, unless this is in Canada, but you know.
Yeah. And of course, after they go past the sign a little ways, they come upon the horrible beach house again, and they're like, all right, let's go inside. Let's see if there's somebody there who can help or something.
Like you would, right?
Right.
By the way, they make a comment about Sanford and Son. What are our feelings on that one?
Yeah, I don't know what they're like, because I know they worked in like a junkyard. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it was just a weird comment, and like also, it's not like a fresh, recent reference to make. Like, I don't know where that was coming from.
Well, it was brand new when Skip heard it.
Right.
Sorry, I don't want to dog on the guy. But they do go in, and Brody finds a Spirit Halloween hand that's been severed, you know?
Yeah. So Duke is like, something weird, something's going on. He calls the dispatch on his walkie-talkie, and is like, I told Hoskins to come back, and I don't see them at the marina. I need somebody get me a boat right away. I'm gonna go out to look and figure out what's going on. We've got tourists out there and stuff.
Check the logbook for Hoskins, see if he made it back, right?
Yeah. There's no record of it, so he's kind of freaked out. And then we go back to the trio who are wandering around the inside of the beach house. And
you gotta love Skip, because as soon as they get inside, they're like, "Yeah, I bet this place used to host fancy parties." Are you sure? Are you sure, Skip? Are you sure, my man?
Yeah.
Because this basement does not look like not the kind that would have the nice fancy parties.
Right.
Like the robes and ritual daggers kind of fancy parties. Sure, I'd buy that.
Yeah. And then Madge is like, I don't think this place is abandoned. Someone's been here recently. And she points over to a table where there's just a really, really nice glass bong. Like, one you're going to drop a couple $100 on, like a real good one.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Right. That's where they spend all the money. That's the budget. Right there. It's that glass bong. That explains everything, obviously.
Yeah. I'm sure at the end of the shoot, that vanished quickly. Somebody walked off with that for sure.
Who sold my bong, man? But of course, Coop wants to investigate further, right?
Yeah, of course. But then we see underwater the shark swimming, and we hear, or like once he swims in, a gate closes behind him. It's kind of like a boathouse kind of thing. The trio inside are like, "Did you hear that? What was that?" It sounded like an iron gate closing, which is a very specific sound to just think that that's what you've heard.
If you haven't heard it before,
Right. And Madge is like, "We got to get out of here," and they're like, "No, but
hey, what's that in the water?"
Yeah, we got to investigate. And so they find like one of those like tanks, or like you can like look underwater, like down into the ocean or whatever.
Right. I think Madge is like, "That shark looks like a Frankenstein creature. It's a Sharkenstein."
Yeah.
Title drop. Yeah.
Right. And then the mad scientist pops in and he's like, "Welcome to my humble home." And then we just cut back to Duke, who is trying to get Hoskins on the radio, which is a bad plan because Hoskins is mute.
Give me some kind of sign, Hoskins. Let me know you're there.
Yeah, just radio back.
Even though you're mute.
Yeah.
He literally says it. Even though you're mute.
So, of course, he gets no response and heads out on a boat to look. And then we go back to the scientist now holding the trio at gunpoint. Yeah. And, he's like, "Who sent you? Where did you come from? Who knows that you're here?" And, they're basically like, "Nobody. We're just a bunch of idiots who wandered into your house." And he's like, "Perfect. I can use you for my experiments.
You're going to help me with all of my experiments, right? Mm-hmm. And then Madge is like, well, if we do that, will you let us go? He's like, yeah, sure, I'll set you free. Why not?
Yeah. And he says Klaus is a man of his word. So we've gotten his name finally, Klaus. Yeah. And, of course, he monologues about his experiments, tells them that the brain and heart belong to the Frankenstein monster.
Okay, help me out with this. He literally says there are Nazi resistance groups. I feel like if you're a Nazi, you don't get to use the word resistance.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, we've got cells all over the world. And they're like, that Germany lost World War II, right? Like, pretty bad, actually. And
right,
like,
but
yes,
we're giving it a second go.
Yeah, we're going to come back.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to bring the war back, and our experiments will... Right now I'm working on sharks, but eventually we'll have human testing. And they're like, wait, do you mean they saved Hitler's brain?
How did she know that from him saying we preserve Nazi scientists to Hitler?
Right. I wonder, because there's an old movie called They Saved Hitler's Brain. I feel like this was just an opportunity to make a reference to that.
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah. That's a movie I've never seen. I actually looked it up, and I was like, I wonder if that's Frankenstein-y enough. It's kind of on the fence. We may get to it someday, but
I feel like if we do it, we should do like a MST3K of
it. Yeah, probably.
Exactly. We just heckle the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But then we definitely see that the shark is in fact made of foam, at least part of it, because you can see the little bubbles of the foam, the bubbles on the foam.
Right. Yeah. And he tells them, we have this shark that's made of parts and everything. So the brain and heart that are in it are also just regular shark parts.
Shark brains.
But now he's going to put the Frankenstein monster brain and heart into the shark.
Right. I was thinking that exact same thing. I'm like, dude, you're there. You're good. You don't need the other parts.
Yeah, you've already figured it out. You brought this thing to life. It's done. Like, put those things in a person. Like, continue experiments that way.
I feel like adding the Frankenstein monster's bits to anything just normally doesn't go well.
Yeah.
Let's see if that holds true.
Right. But he's so proud of his plan or whatever, and he's like, and now this is the part where you tell me I'm crazy. And then we cut right from that back to Duke.
Right.
Who's...
I like how he lampshades his own trope. Good on him.
Right, yeah. But out in the cove now, like thunderstorms are rolling in. Duke's like, oh no, things are going to get worse. But of course, back in the lab, Klaus is like, yes.
Can you explain something to me though, real quick? Why the hell does Duke, wearing glasses and has a rather large bill on his baseball cap, have to fucking stop the boat in the middle of a rainstorm? He has protection. He doesn't need any more protection. He's good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this is what he does for a living. You'd think he'd have this kind of down to a science. Yeah.
Right. You think he'd be like, this is just a normal day. Fuck it.
But yeah, he's definitely worried about the thunderstorm. Meanwhile, Klaus is like, this is the time. We're going to use the lightning. We're classic Frankenstein stuff here, right?
That's right, yeah. We're going to get our car battery hooked up to the electrode.
Yeah.
And shock the shark puppet.
Yeah. And we have all three of our friends are putting on rubber gloves so we can tell things are about to get real serious here.
Right. By the way, none of them think, hey, there's three of us, one of him, and he doesn't have his gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just go along with it. They're just willing nurses. They just completely help with this whole surgical process, and it's a success. They manage to get the heart and brain into the shark. Meanwhile, we continue to see Duke patrolling. We see Hoskins stuck in a boat. He puts on a poncho and just sits there in the rain.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, he's kind of just stuck. He can't go anywhere, so might as well just wait it out. Yeah. Meanwhile, lightning starts striking. And they hook up jumper cables to the shark, and it is instantly revived. We get an "it's alive" thing. It's a little more subdued than usual,
right?
Which is
weird.
Surprising. Yeah, considering how scenery chewing the mad scientist has been for the most part. But then the shark kind of he's all excited, and the shark coughs and sort of rolls over on its side like it's dying or something.
Yeah, as they dip it into the water.
Yeah. But Klaus is like, that's fine. It's just the Frankenstein monster getting used to being in a shark body instead of a person body. It'll be fine.
Instead of it just dying.
Yeah.
Over and dying.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And then he just locks them in, some sort of like little room and is like,
Right.
I'm not quite done with you yet. I'm going to need your help. I'll be back shortly.
But we thought you were going to set us free. Yeah, it's not like he's a mad scientist or something.
Right. And then while they're like all just sitting in there waiting, they're like, I can't believe we just operated on a shark and transplanted the Frankenstein monster's brain and heart into it. And Coop's like, yeah, I mean, this is a vacation we're not sure to forget, right? Like,
Yeah.
just taking it all in stride. We're doing shark surgery and Frankenstein stuff.
I mean, who could really say they did that on vacation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then our mad scientist decides he wants to try and dom the Frankenshark, or Sharkenstein.
Yeah.
Go kill the humans.
Yeah, he's like talking over his microphone again. He specifically is like, get Hoskins. Like, you need to... He knows too much. He's connected to these people and everything. And when the shark heads out, for some reason, suddenly we get like a comic book word bubble pop up on the screen.
Right. It doesn't say it's about to attack.
Yeah, on the attack, I think. But yeah, it's like it's only happens this one time.
Once.
I don't know why. It's so silly.
Oh no, we're gonna get a rim shot later. That's the only time that happens too.
Oh yeah.
It's so like I don't know if it's like an anti-joke, but it feels like one, right?
Yeah, kind of so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because it has no point.
Yeah. So meanwhile, we've got the trio. They're like, he's gonna kill us. We know too much. We got to find a way to escape. And then we see Hoskins back on his boat getting rammed by the shark.
Right. Somehow the shark causes the boat to explode.
This is like a little motorboat. This is not a yacht. This does not have fuel reserves. There's no
Oh,
reason
by the
this
way,
thing
every
should
time
explode.
something supposedly explodes, the thing is still there. They just have fire on the screen now.
Yes.
I don't know.
And Klaus is pissed because he wanted Hoskins to just get eaten by the shark. Now we have an explosion. This is
He's
drawing
causing too
attention.
much, drawing too much attention.
Yeah, and so he's a little worried about that. He's like, he starts yelling at the shark, like, you must obey me. Come back to base.
Right. Then he gets a shocking stick when it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And he thinks
like,
that's going to do something.
Yeah, it's like a big cattle prod, and he's like, "You must obey me," and he's stabbing at it with the thing. The shark jumps out of the water and chomps Klaus. He has now killed his maker, I guess.
At least one of them, right?
Yeah, classic Frankenstein stuff here.
We see the upper half of Klaus's body drift off into the, quote, drift off into the water instead of swaying gently in front of the green screen.
Yeah. And, as we go back to the trio, and they're like, all right, this is our chance. We need to escape. But suddenly, like, the walls of the whole building are shaking, and they're like...
Yeah, the shark's attacking the whatever the plate that is, shack.
Yeah, so they're like, oh no, maybe we can use this to our advantage, but we got to be careful. Like, we could get attacked. And sure enough, the shark just keeps ramming the shack until it just like falls to pieces.
Now it falls to pieces, but it doesn't fall on any single one of them.
Yeah. They manage to all be fine. They swim to the surface.
Well, Skip. He's not fine for long.
Yep, because like as soon as they get to the surface, we see the shark swimming around them. Yeah, the shark gets Skip, as you said. But Duke pulls up in his motorboat right at that time, and he manages to grab Madge and Coop and pull them into the boat. And as soon as they're in the boat, again, fully dry. He just pulled them out of the water. They don't have a change of clothes this time. They do not have this magic duffel bag. They just step out of the water dry.
See, that bag had self-drying clothes. That's what we didn't know.
Yeah.
But the shark's coming back. It wants to keep ramming them.
Yeah, and Madge is like, this shark, it's like a monster. It's like Frankenstein parts. We got to escape. Hurry. And Duke and Coop kind of like get in an argument that, like, they're both they think they're alpha male dudes, and they're just kind of arguing with each other. And
stop hassling your girlfriend about your hot girlfriend or whatever he says.
Yeah,
and Madge's like, you think I'm hot?
Yeah, and Coop's like, that's not my girlfriend. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense, because you couldn't get a girl like her.
Right. Square like you couldn't get a girl like her. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Duke.
Yeah.
You haven't been much of a point, but I'm glad you at least give Coop what for.
Yeah. So they do manage to get the boat to shore as the shark is kind of pursuing them.
Oh, yeah. Hurry up, because Rome wasn't built in a day, but your coffin will be. What?
Right, yeah. And when they get out of the boat, they get on the dock, and Coop like turns around and is like, "Eat shit, Frankenstein," and Duke just gives the shark the middle finger.
Why? Like, I mean, that's kind of a cool moment for this movie, but why?
Yeah, yeah. Like, and this shark, Duke knows that this shark jumped out and ate a fisherman off of the dock. Like,
yeah, at least two people that way.
Yeah, like, you do not need to be standing on shore taunting a shark.
Right. But sure as shit, that shark jumps up onto the dock. Mm-hmm. And what should happen to him then?
Duke's like, it's fine. He's still a little, he's away from us, and he can't live outside the water.
Right. He can't live outside the water, sure.
And then a lightning bolt just strikes the shark, and Madge is like...
Yeah, he has Frankenstein DNA or something, and that makes him more powerful when he gets struck by lightning.
Yeah, she's like, this isn't good. This is, it's gonna get.
Oh, baby, but this shark, he doesn't go through any transformation. He becomes a motherfucking street shark.
He does. It's so great.
Yes.
I definitely did not expect this, and I was dying laughing
he
at this.
He grows arms. The shark grew arms and legs.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it is Street Shark. Like, he's got big, muscly arms and legs. Like,
it's 100% a toy that they've like filed things off of for sure. Maybe repainted.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So of course, they're like, oh, we gotta, what are we gonna do now? Duke gets a torch and he lights it, and the CGI on this torch is, I have never seen anything this bad. Like, I can't even describe the level of like unrealism that this torch is. Like, it's just wild.
I know, it's like they overlaid like a gauzy filter over the torch and like colored it red again. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is with that, but yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, waving it around, and he's like, everything's afraid of fire, especially Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And that does work.
But now it's like, after they scare it off this one time, Duke is like, all right, now we got to hunt it down. We got to kill it.
Mm-hmm. And Coop's like,
why?
Like,
yeah, we got to hunt it down and kill it.
Yeah.
Coop, of course, looks at her and he's like, you're just agreeing with him because he thinks you're cute. And she's like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Clearly, Duke and Maggie are kind of having like a little bit of a romance here.
Her name's Madge because he calls her Maggie, and she's like, "It's Madge."
Oh yeah. She kind of corrects him there.
Right.
But
what isn't Madge like short for Margaret? Just same as Maggie? Or do I got that wrong?
No, I think they both come from the same. Yeah, I think they are both Margarets, but maybe she just has her personal preference.
Fair enough.
But. So now we've got, Coop, he doesn't want anything to do, he's like, I just want to survive. I don't really care about sticking with this.
Let's trespass in America is like, nah, I'm good, fam. Let's go home.
And, then we get some like POV shots of the shark, who is now on land, roaming the countryside.
Because he's got feet and arms.
Yeah. So he gets to a farm, he attacks a bunch of cows. This angry farmer lady comes out with a shotgun and shoots it.
See America.
Right.
Right.
But the shark's too powerful to be hurt with a shotgun, so it gets away. Meanwhile, Madge and Duke continue, and Madge is like, how do you know we're on the right track? And he's like, don't you see the fin tracks?
Fin tracks.
Follow those.
Fin tracks, Anthony. Oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. And so as they're pursuing the shark, Madge is filling Duke in on all the backstory we've got, and she's like, there's this Nazi conspiracy. They've got cells all over the world, and he's like, we'll solve that later. We'll handle it, but first, let's deal with the shark. Then we'll deal with the vast Nazi conspiracy.
Right. They're living in 2024.
Right.
You got to fix the small problems before you get to the big stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then, of course, Coop is just walking through the forest like Coop would.
Yeah.
And realizes he's lost.
Yep, he's doing the classic let's split up in a slasher movie deal here. And yeah, of course the shark
It
finds
goes as well
him.
as you expect.
Yeah. And the shark's kind of like coming at him, and he picks up a stick off the ground like he's going to fend off a shark with it, and then realizes like, nah, I'm fucked. This isn't going to help. And the shark
What's that stupid thing he says first? Like, I hope I don't get stuck in your teeth or something like, or I hope it gets stuck in your teeth or something.
Yeah,
like
something dumb like that. And yeah, the shark obviously just kills him with no problem. But Duke and Madge hear the commotion. They run to help and find that the angry farmer lady has gotten together an angry mob.
She got herself a posse.
But this is not a pitchfork and torch mob, because this is America, damn it.
Damn it. We got shotguns and rifles, baby.
Yeah, and even like, I think there's like somebody with an assault rifle. Like, it is a weird mix of, it's just like, what kind of gun props do we have laying around? Sure, those work.
But to round it out, we also have a lady with a torch and her arms in a cast. Why? I don't know. I guess she just wanted to be part of the film.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, her torch isn't lit. And I can't wait till it lights up later. Because it's the same effect as the one that Duke had.
Yeah. And Madge is like, should we follow them? What should we do? And Duke's like, no, that's a bad idea. Look at the, like, this is a scene from a Universal horror film. These yokels are going to shoot themselves up and us if we're anywhere near them. Let's just...
Listen, this guy's seen Halloween 4. He knows what's up.
Yeah. An angry mob is nothing to mess with. So he lets them go. And then we cut to a completely new, inexplicable scene.
Yeah. Brand new main character out of nowhere.
We've got this older woman, and she's like, she's in lingerie, but like not revealing lingerie, like Sears catalog lingerie.
Right.
And
it's
she's
like what your mom wears under a Sunday dress or something like that.
Yeah. Right? And there's a photographer taking pictures of her, and he calls her Kathy, and she's like,
hey, no, it's Bonnie Boom Boom, baby.
Yeah. And he's like, whatever your porn star name, it doesn't matter. And she's like, I was an adult entertainer. I was not a porn star.
Back in the 80s. All right.
Yeah.
Go do your poses.
Right. And they hear like some sort of loud noise off in the distance. It's the shark roaring. But Bonnie is like, are those fans? I don't want to be swarmed by fans. I want to do my comeback photo shoot in peace.
Right.
And the photographer's like, fans, come on. No, nobody cares. Like, it's not.
And somehow they have a rim shot after this. Yes. Like, this guy gets a rim shot after his lame ass joke.
Yeah. And then the shark appears, and he, attacks the photographer, kills him instantly. And then
he pimp slaps Bonnie.
Yeah, the shark with his street shark muscle arms slaps her, knocks her down. He seems to climb on top of her. Is this?
Does he assault her?
It seems like it.
It's implied. We'll say that. I don't know if we should do a trigger warning because they don't go far, and thank God for that. They have enough decency for that.
Yeah, there's you're not shown anything, but. Yeah, a content warning if a puppet shark possibly sexually assaulting an elderly porn star, if that would upset
elderly,
you.
This lady is no more than like 45 at most.
Yeah. I guess that's elderly for a porn star, but
fair enough, I guess. But then after that, we cut back to Madge and Duke talking. And I've got a big beef with Madge. She literally does our fucking job.
She doesn't.
Okay, lady? I'm going to need you to stop reciting all of the fucking Universal Frankenstein movies and Hammer horror Frankenstein movies. That's our job, please.
Yeah, somehow Duke has like never, even though he was talking about the angry mob earlier being like a Universal thing, now he seems to know nothing about them. So yeah, Madge is like telling him the whole deal. Yeah, literally just lists every Universal and Hammer horror movie in order. And Duke's like, the thing that all of those movies seem to have in common is fire. That's got to be the solution. If we can trap the shark somewhere, we can set it on fire, And she's like, Sharkenstein must be destroyed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I see what you did there.
Yeah. So the plan is we're going to use the mob to our advantage. We're going to get the mob to kind of kettle the shark in and draw him into this old lighthouse. And once he's inside, we can burn it down, and that'll take care of everything.
Is this where we get the two members of the mob just talking about how they're going to shoot and display the creature and cart it around the world?
Yeah, they think that they're going to be able to like make it into a sideshow kind of thing. They're going to get famous off this. So as soon as
people do that nowadays, right?
Yeah,
they get famous off sideshows. Okay,
right. And as soon as they're like, okay, we've got future plans, they instantly both just get eaten by the shark.
So good. But then everybody starts shooting at the shark again, and that's when the lady with the cast and the torch comes out.
Right.
And it's on fire, I think, this time.
Yeah. So, of course, the shark monster runs away from all the gunfire. Duke and Madge show up at the lighthouse, and they're going to inspect the inside first because Duke heard that it used to be full of a bunch of old munitions, and if that's in there, this plan could really work.
What we're looking for is a crate. A crate suspiciously like the one immediately in front of us.
Right. And yep, the crates are full of dynamite. And Duke's like, okay, we can set these charges all around the lighthouse. And, once we get it all set up, then this will be the perfect death trap. But be careful. These things are old and volatile.
Right.
And Madge
jostles them.
Yeah. Madge is like, old and volatile, just like you.
Hey. Nice. He's like, I'll cut it out.
Yeah. But yeah, so they rig up explosives all around. And they're like, how are we going to lure him in now?
I know Duke knows one thing, and that's how to draw in a shark.
Yeah. You might know Frankenstein, but I know sharks.
Sharks, that's right.
Yeah.
And immediately cuts himself. And Madge is like, you didn't have to do that. And he's like, why? What do you mean? She's like, I'm on my period. And he's, you tell me.
Yeah. And she's like, and she points to the blood running down his arm. She's like, well, now you know how I feel. And he's like, oh, gross. This is like, I feel like a period joke around shark stuff is such a dude wrote this movie,
Yeah, 100%,
right? But sure enough, as they're kind of having their little, banter, the mob has managed to rout the shark through the field, and it's approaching the lighthouse now. So, Duke's like, all right, hurry, get out. You need to hide. Stay out of the lighthouse. I can handle it from here.
But she gives him a kiss for good luck. So we know their romance is meant to last.
Right, yeah. And as soon as the mob arrives, the shark goes inside, and the mob just starts lighting the lighthouse on fire. They didn't even know this plan, but they're on board right away.
Right. This is America, dude. That was the outcome anyway.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
And Madge is like, no, stop. Duke's still inside. But then they see that Duke and the shark have gotten up to the top of the lighthouse. They're on a balcony.
I love how he taunts the shark by going, oh yeah, come and get me, or do you not have any guts sewn in?
Right, yeah. And Duke yells down just set it on fire. It's too late for me. This is our chance.
It's too late.
Yeah. So then we get a shot of the lighthouse exploding, which again, like you said,
they're more than happy.
It's just the lighthouse with CGI After Effects
Fire
explosions happening over top of it.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and the mob is all like, okay, everything's over, everything's fine now. And
Madge is like, no, nothing. It's not fine, because the heart and the brain can never be destroyed.
Yeah. She basically is looking right into the camera for this part. This is.
She stared into that void far too long, Anthony.
Yeah, and then we get Madge walking around sad. She lost this new love and her two friends. She's walking along the dock. She sits down in a deck chair and is looking out at the cove mournfully. And suddenly the shark bursts out of the water roaring and hard cut to credits.
But at least they depowered the shark, They took away its arms and legs.
Yeah, it's back to being a regular shark.
And a puppet, not just a toy or an action figure.
Yeah.
By the way, do you think you would ever sit beside water, at least large bodies of water, ever again?
No, I would get the fuck away from the ocean after that.
I'd be like, fuck this. I'm going to go sit in the trees or something and cry. I don't know.
I'm moving to Kansas. I don't ever want to see
Right.
water again.
Right. I'll never even have a pool or a kiddie pool.
Right.
But yeah, that's the end. This is as I texted Anthony earlier, a wild movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. It's so fun though. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, like
We shit on it pretty hard, but it's a lot of fun.
yeah, this is again, like if you are particular about like which Wild Eye movies you're looking up, they have quite a few like this that are just like you want to sit around with some friends, have some drinks, smoke some stuff, whatever you're into, and just laugh your ass off. This movie is right up there with Velocipaster and some of those others.
Yeah, this reminded me of like the Friday nights or Saturday nights with your friends where you're just doing whatever substances and just you don't really feel like paying attention to anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This movie's not hard to follow. You can you know what's going on pretty without paying much attention. You know, you're jumping back and forth between these two plot lines that are really holding your hand. Like and there's no themes or anything to kind of dig into here. This is just
it is what it is.
This is the title. The title tells you everything you need to know. Shark
Everything.
plus Frankenstein, and that's it.
Sharkenstein. Done. We're there.
Yep. I feel like the script wrote itself once they got the title. Like that was
Exactly.
we're
It
good to
probably
go.
did.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
But you know what I will say? Here's one thing I will legitimately compliment somebody in this movie on, and that's Greta Volkova's sick-ass octopus tattoo on her leg.
Yeah. I mean,
pretty-
like again, they're just those people are just being themselves. Like I'm sure the dude with the Triforce hat, I'm sure he just showed up on set with that, and they were like, "All right, let's go with it. It's fine."
Yeah. I don't know why, man, but he's squirrely. I don't know, like he wouldn't look directly into the camera and or well, I guess you're not supposed to, but it seemed like he was avoiding all eye contact. So it's like
I'm sure
he's
they were all
probably
nervous. Like they've never done this before. But clearly everybody's having a good time. They're not professionals, but they're doing their best. And as long as you can get on board with that, you'll have a good time.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, yeah, enough said for sure. Well, so Anthony, anything else we got to say about it?
I think that's it on this one. Like I said, not a lot of themes to dig into here. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep. All right, so I think maybe next week we continue the many themes of this movie that we just said weren't there. Namely those of cheese, for sure, water, and maybe some fishy Frankensteins with Bikini Frankenstein.
Yes. This is another one I have not seen. I know it's Fred Olin Ray, like late period Fred Olin Ray, which is sketchy at best. So I'm sure this is going to be absolute trash. But figured it's the summer. Let's hang out at the beach for a couple weeks. So yep,
That's right.
Join us next week for Bikini Frankenstein, whatever that might entail.
Fair enough. The cover definitely reminds me of what was it? Return of the Living Dead 3. Where the girl's got all the implements in her body.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where can they find us?
You can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube, and you can find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we've still got the 1 week free trials. We'd love to have you over there. You can check some stuff out, see if it's a good fit for you. It's as we always say, it's a little bit more free form over there. It's a little less. We have less of a formula, so there's a lot of fun, different kind of things over there if you're into that.
Off the cuff, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, well, if there's nothing else to say, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.